Part 37 of ranking and reviewing every Academy Award winner for Best Picture. It's Harry Beaumont's The Broadway Melody from 1929, the first sound Best Picture. And apologies on my eye, it doesn't fully open. Sorry, I have pink eye. My concerns were not unfounded. It is odd that so early into sound we were making musicals, a genre that's completely reliant on sound. But it also makes sense in that cinema is basically just the next step in evolution of theater. And what's big on theater? Musicals. The thing is, though, this isn't a great musical. It doesn't have a lot of music, for one, and it kind of just overuses the same song over and over again, which is a fine song. I would compare this to something that I don't expect a lot of people to get, but I've seen every single Elvis Presley movie, even the non-musicals, which he made a few of. In a lot of those movies, they just don't have enough music, which is odd because Elvis is a singer. You'd think you'd want to utilize that in full. But this film kind of falls into the same thing, except they try to make up for it by just having the same song over and over again, and it's just not super exciting. This film allegedly featured a Technicolor sequence, and I say allegedly, like obviously it did. It only exists in black and white now, which makes it less impressive, quite frankly, than if you were to see Rupert Julian's The Phantom of the Opera. I just really didn't love this movie. It's only the second Best Picture winner, so, sound films are in their early stages. They're going to get better. The Best Pictures are going to get better. They already have, if you've seen some of my other videos, of course. But I found it kind of interesting or borderline alarming because I have this system so I'm ranking the movies just based on my personal preference, but I've also kind of looked at, okay, how do other people view these? And I look at Rotten Tomatoes, critics, audience, Letterboxd, IMDb, Metacritic, which I don't think every Best Picture has a Metacritic rating. And then if you were to average all of those things out, the Broadway Melody is under 50. It's under 5 out of 10. So it seems like this would be considered one of the worst Best Pictures. I definitely consider it one of the worst. It is not the worst. But it's also not far from it. As you see my ranking, it's quite low. Don't really recommend it. This is really only worth watching if you're like me and you just have to watch every single Best Picture winner. There are far better musicals, A, that have won Best Picture, B, that haven't. There are far better films from this era, this 1920s, 1930s. I actually tend to find the silent movies more engaging than early sound movies. I think they had kind of perfected their craft, and then in the early days of sound films, they were trying to adapt to a new method of filmmaking that sometimes is really good, but not all the time, like here, for instance. Fortunately, the next movie I'll be doing is a masterpiece. It is On the Waterfront from 1954, so please stay tuned for my review and ranking of that film.